Hello beautiful singers, this is Valerie White-Williams and Vocal Splendor Studios, and today I would like to talk to you about belting basics. Now belting is a word that I'm not really fond of, but it's kind of sticking because belting refers to the brassy, edgy sound that singers make in rock, pop, R&B, and some musical theater. So belting is basically glorified shouting or hollering. Say, hey, hey, get over here, stop! Belting is completely natural, contrary to what a lot of classically trained voice teachers seem to think, because belting is used throughout history. I think belting was commonly known as field hollering. Come and eat, sweet, sweet, sweet. So when you lived on the farm, that's how people communicated. They shouted. And because people were shouting on a regular basis, everybody knew how to do it. When you're herding animals, when you're riding animals, and just shouting from a field to tell somebody there's a fire, people learned how to use their voice and project it over time. So that's what shouting is, and that's what belting is. And belting is using more of that shout quality. Now what, also when you look at it technically, we look at the vocal cords, I'll keep this simple. So the vocal cords, we have what we call the TA muscle and the CT muscle. And the CT muscle helps us sing high, stretches the cords out long. TA muscle makes it thick and fat. And so it's basically equivalent to head voice and chest voice, but we're basically having two muscle groups, two strings that are controlled. So we don't have a head voice, chest voice, but we do have the TA and the CT muscles. So when we are belting, we are stretching our vocal cords long, but we're keeping that thickness in the cords. So when we belt, it takes a lot more breath energy to sustain the pitch. The cords also come together much more thickly, and that's what the sound sounds like. When we're the head voice, they flutter more gently. So usually high notes are easier when we sing in our head voice, or more of the CT dominant production versus belting. So let's talk a bit about belting. So belting requires we use lots of energy, and we also need to usually get this belt face. So this is like you get that almost the smile. So you watch people belting and singing, they're singing like this a lot, and sometimes the song isn't happy, but they're like, angsty. So you're gonna see this brighter vowel spread face, where in classical singing we tend to have more of the drop jaw, and that's definitely more common in choir, but hey, 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 hey. So we get that quality in our belting. So with belting, first off is you have to practice it, and it's sometimes easier to start lower in the chest voice because we're taking that chest and bringing it up. So you want to sing like a Bratty Child. This is something I got from one of my coaches, Robert Edwin, who teaches in New York, and he thinks it's like, stop, I want it, I want it. Like a little like, I want it, I want it, I want. So the vowel can sometimes be a little doorway to get that kind of brattier, edgier sound. Don't take it too far because you don't want to get really nasally and get that kind of annoying sound. But we want to say, hey, give me that, give me that, hey, give me that, hey, give me that. So belting became used in theater a lot because we wanted the characters to sound like what they speak. So I'll say, hey, I'm so mad at you. Hey, I'm so mad at you. Versus, hey, I'm so mad at you. Okay, that doesn't really connect with that speaking quality. It's easier to belt lower. It takes a lot more energy to belt high. And as we belt higher and higher, it's going to take more breath energy. And also, we're going to feel a sense of narrowing in the belt. Now this is the same thing that happens in classical singing. The higher we go, the narrower the sound feels. And that narrow feeling is kind of a trick because the singer feels narrow, but the outer room feels loud. So we're dealing more with resonance. So the key to belting in the higher voice is to feel that sense of narrowing and feel this almost laser beam quality in the voice. So all those women that sing Wicked and Heart, again! When I sing that, it feels really narrow. And I'll be honest, I started as a classical singer, so belting I was not a natural belter. I trained to belt, and I trained to know how to do it, and I had great teachers that showed me. But it took me a while because it was so different than what I was doing as a classical singer as a jazz singer even, and in choir. Because it's just, I tell my students when they learn to belt, they're going to choir hell. Don't do that in choir because it's an edgy, brassy sound. So with belting, it's easy to start with a song that is not quite so high where you practice with that. And the other thing to keep in mind, it's not like singers are belting the whole entire song. Usually the glory notes are gonna get that and again, I can't really do it without that face, that big cheesy face. So that's the other trick about belting is you need to modify the vowels. The best belt songs already have bright vowels on the high notes. Yay! Ee! But if you have an ah, you go ah, it's not going to work, so you have to go ah! So you have to modify so you can keep this face. Now, one of the things I do with some of my students when I'm working on belting, I call it Molar Action. You do this with your face, and it can kind of get you that really big spread, that bite, as we call it. So that's a start on the belting exercises. You can practice stuff like this. Na, 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 na. I also really like Melissa Cross's, believe it or not, Zen of Screaming CD to work on belting, because what rock singers do and what theater singers do is more and more alike, especially when we talk about the pop rock and the belting. So her series of exercises helps you with this E position, which feels really awkward to a lot of people, and that kind of helps you learn to kind of enunciate getting this kind of belty, bitey face and coordinate with the breath. So that's just a beginning talk about belting. I may do some more demonstrations later. I would love to see your comments and questions in the comments below and tell me what works for you to belt. Also, thanks for the likes, subscribes. If you enjoy this content and would like to have more, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, and be notified of all my uploads. All right, thanks so much, and sing on.